Form of government.
You were supposed to come back with an update, Ms. Holtz.
Well, should we take a little break? Okay, we'll take a short break.
And I think Ms. Ferguson had something else?
Yes.
I put it under new business, the formation worksheet revised, and also the resolution 2012-83 revised.
Just like magic. Ms. Holtz, did you just want to go over this?
To specify that the proposal shall be submitted by January 1, 2014. I indicated that, I'm trying to find it on here, that they should obtain expert assistance from the university needed to educate members on the charter form of government, and that all should be completed by June 2014. That should have been changed to January 2014. I apologize. Also to recommend the manner of election for the first executive and council members. And if you go to the resolution, the title was cleaned up. The resolved clauses that have been added, that they shall submit its draft to the Board of County Commissioners no later than January 1, 2014. The board shall seek expert advice from the University of Maryland and shall hold 2 or more public hearings during the drafting process. The board shall review the charters of other counties to determine the best practices for Charles County. The board will be staffed by the Office of the County Attorney. Those were the additions that I made.
You know I always have a question.
Commissioner Davis.
In the resolution,
Uh-huh.
it specifically, no, not the resolution, my apologies. In the formation worksheet,
Yes, ma'am.
it specifically says the charter board will draft a charter for Charles County to change. I don't think those were the instructions, do you?
The charter board, it was my understanding, would determine whether
Yes.
to move forward with
All
a
right.
charter form of
Yes.
government.
And
So
if
so
they
the
deem
board
so-
could determine after spending a year that it's not applicable to Charles County, it can come back to us.
I thought we were following the Maryland code,
Yeah.
and because the eventual outcome will be determined
By the voter,
citizen.
yeah.
Yeah, I did not understand the
I mean,
charge
I
to
thought
be
that's
that.
what we voted on.
I thought so.
I mean,
too.
we established it, and we use as a reference the code.
Yeah, that's the specific reference in the
Well, I think it
annotated
should
code.
ultimately be up to the voters anyway, so I think that's fine.
So as long as, at least 2 of us didn't understand that, but, so.
Kind of like a minor
so that's-
subdivision.
That's appropriate, that's what he said.
Kind of like a minor subdivision.
So we all agree that we are charging them to draft the form of government.
Exactly.
A charter form of
Like,
government.
this is different than,
The advisory.
right, because
This is a
before,
board.
there was like an advisory body, but it wasn't based on the code, or wasn't established under the code.
So my next question is, so we give the board this charge,
Yes.
they come back with with a charter document. Is it up to us to approve it, or are we out of the mix altogether? and just-
No, it requires, you can make changes to it as you see fit, and it requires a vote of this body to place it on the
ballot.
ballot.
So
Okay.
you can. be
Right, so it's
opposed
really up to
still
us first, and if we,
For it to become a referendum item.
right, that's
Got
fine.
it. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yes. So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Davis.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robinson. Any further discussion?
Just very briefly, just assuming we pass this, at what point will we begin advertising for members of the board? I would think since this is a pretty,
This
Didn't you
week.
start some preliminarily?
Yeah, but it'll go up. We just needed to see exactly, this formation sheet gives us what we need to put it out. So we will do that. We'll start working on it tomorrow.
Okay,
Great.
Yeah, hopefully there will be enough
Oh, I think there will be.
applicants that early in January they can get started, so they have as much of a full year as possible.
okay, thank you. All in
Wait,
favor?
wait,
Oh, sorry.
Wasn't there an open question? I know that Commissioner Robinson, he had
I asked
asked
it.
about the idea of individuals who are sitting on,
Other
on,
commission.
Right, to waive the restriction of serving on more than one board as it relates just to the charter board.
Would you like to vote on this resolution and then we'll,
Yeah.
Tackle that?
One is, it's kind of two separate issues. Let's.
yeah.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the resolution is adopted. And Commissioner Collins?
Yep. As it relates to that issue and thinking about it, one of the things that I know I made a commitment to when I first got in office was to expand the number of citizens who have sat on boards and commissions, because what I found was too often the county would rely on the same individuals. And I just think there are hundreds of citizens in this community who have not sat on any boards that would be more than prepared. And I think if it reaches that point, if there's an individual that is interested in this, I mean, they've had to seriously consider, removing themselves from the board that they're on if they determine that this one is more important. A personal view of mine is I think we should really do everything to expand the number of residents that sit on these boards and commissions.
Okay, the next question I would have, would this be one of the boards that the commissioners would be required to approve the members?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's out there, because I agree that that's,
May we go back to the issue of duplicate board membership? Is there an argument, or I wonder if it doesn't seem appropriate to allow someone to serve on a second board if it's only a temporary board versus to, you know what I mean? It's, because if you say to someone, and you have someone who's really good, for example, in the housing authority, they don't meet that often, but the continuity is important. And if you say to that person, you have to leave that body in order to sit on this temporary board, that doesn't seem quite right either. And
Yeah,
also,
but that's a presumption that somehow there's not people out here that are just as qualified.
well,
Okay,
there's
well, that's a
another
good
way
point.
we can address this, which could probably answer both questions. We can come back at the end of January or middle of January, whenever, and make sure we have enough applicants of people who are not on current boards. And if we're having a shortage, then we could revisit whether or not.
Yeah, I mean, because
That's a
my
yeah.
thinking is I don't think there's going to be a shortage to be on this board.
okay, that sounds fair.
So-
Everybody okay with that? All righty, is there any other new business? Is